I sat down and I watched Fallout, and I was not disappointed. Amazon do some bad shows and they do some good stuff, and this is probably up there as one of their best. I'm actually surprised. I did joke with a friend the difference between post-apocalyptic Los Angeles and Los Angeles in real life. There's very little difference because it is not the cleanest place on earth, and whenever I've been there, I've got sick. So that's a whole thing. I always end up with bronchitis in California. It's always a thing. I don't know why. But the Amazon produce a lot of crap. Rings of Power is prime example of that crap. But this is phenomenal. And I'm actually surprised how well it did. So it's set in 2296, and it's set 200 and something years after a Great War, where the vast majority of the human race was wiped out in a nuclear event. And some pre-war Americans managed to survive in vaults, and they were basically massive fallout shelters. And you have Lucy, who is a resident of one vault. Vault 33, it's located in the ruins of Los Angeles, and she has spent her life underground and is currently applying to have a husband from another vault in arranged marriage. After a tragic event involving another woman, Lucy decides to leave for the surface on a mission to save her father, Hank. I mean, I'm not going to go too much into story for the people who haven't watched it, because there's no point, but the actual atmosphere and energy of this show is so apparent. It hits hard in the right places, and the humour lands mostly. There are a few things that don't, but the humour mostly lands, and I want to give credit to the writers, because they obviously understood the games. Also, this show is oddly beautiful, and I mean that. It was oddly beautiful to watch. The sort of the way the world building is really good, and the landscapes, the world, the wasteland, the vaults. It's that retro futurism that I'm just a sucker for, if you want the honest truth. I was surprised by this. I was shocked by this. And I think one of the big themes of the show that kind of struck me was the struggle for the basic survival, whether how wealthy you are or not wealthy you are, the struggle for food, struggle for life. It's very apparent. And what happened, as she explores, she finds out what happened to people who had no vault and were left behind to be unalived. Surprising how well it's done. And I think one theme didn't land well. She's mocked for her privileges, but it's done in a funny way, mostly. And they weren't as ham-handed with that message as they could have been. But I sat down and I just watched this brilliant show, and it was done really well. I was surprised. It's been renewed for a second season, so that's always good, and I can't wait. And to quote one of the people behind the show, they view what happened in the show as canon. And there was the software company that made it, there was a huge amount of oversight to ensure the script fit within the existing world of Fallout, and my god, you can tell it fits really well. I am pleasantly surprised. Every episode starts with "the" in the title, and so you've got the end, the target, the head, the ghouls, the past, the trap, the radio, the beginning, and I thought that was kind of a nice little nod, and it handled a lot of stuff with enough humour that it worked. I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised. I will say, and you're going to probably hate me for this one, I think the pacing was a bit of a mess, especially in the middle. And I get it, you need time to slow down, you need story beats, you need this, but there were moments where it breezed over things that I felt could have been taken a little deeper. There were a lot of other things, there were some background characters I found interesting, but with season 2, who knows what will happen? I was surprised. Jonathan Nolan did a fantastic job, and you can tell that he played the game. He played Fallout 3 very extensively, and you can tell. And it just fits, like the universe fits, the characters fit, everything fits, and I'm surprised how well it done. I'm old enough to remember playing Fallout and Fallout 2, and they were like top-down isometric games and they were turn-based. So that I always remember playing those games and just really enjoying them. Yes, I'm that old. I'm that old. And I want to say this, retrofuturism is one of my favourite kind of genres. It's sort of it's aesthetically inspired by what people in the 50s would thought the future looked like, and it shows. And there's a lot of like little references in the TV show to Pulp Fiction genre of literary stuff, and just a few other things. I'm actually surprised how well it did. I'm actually surprised how I'm actually surprised. I was not expecting this. I was not expecting such a strong show. I was not expecting, well, good written. I wasn't expecting good characters. I was expecting something mediocre. And I sat down, I thought, this is basically the game on screen. I would play this. I would play this. And sort of the area of New California. They really got the world building down, and they got the characters down. I'm recording this at 2 a.m. because I've just finished watching it, and I've got notes in front of me, and I'm so surprised by it all. I was not expecting this. And one thing I will also add to this review is the actors. I touched upon it, but I want to say kudos to the actors. My God, they did good. I'm surprised how well they did. I I mean, I love science fiction westerns. I love retrofuturism. I love anything like this. And I just sat down and I couldn't stop watching it. I didn't intend to watch it all in pretty much 24 hours. I was surprised by it. And it touched upon the themes of survival so well. Yet it's done in Fallout humour, and I definitely agree that it's to quote one review, Entertainment Weekly gave it a B+ and said the 8-episode season exists in a vivid and creative universe. It will be familiar to gamers, although knowledge of the franchise isn't required to enjoy the darkly comic dystopian show. And that's true. I think that worked really well, and I think keeping that kind of humour and that kind of dark humour shows throughout the whole thing. Now, I will touch upon the games, because why the hell not? I've played a few of the games in my life. Fallout, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. I tried Fallout 77 and I hated it. Or 76, I should say. I don't like online multiplayer only games as a rule. I like games I can dip in and out as solo. But you know what? To capture that feeling of the games, to capture that vibe of the games so well, so brilliantly done, it just worked. And I was surprised. I was actually surprised. I sat down and I watched it. I loved it. And kind of the fallout, and she's quite sheltered in many ways, and you can see that. And the fictional race of post-humans, I just, throughout the universe, it's my God. I mean, I couldn't stop watching it, which is unusual. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And the very last episode, without giving any spoilers, really hit hard. There is no way around that. Like, it kept the dark humour, it kept everything rolling, but it felt cohesive, it felt poignant, it felt good, and I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised. I was surprised by the whole thing, and there's no way around that. I know I keep using that word, but, it's surprising. And that's the best way to describe it. I rarely buy DLC for games, and I did buy it for Fallout, and I just felt like this was a nice in-universe thing to have, and a nice story to have. I just, again, surprised. It felt like an extension of the games, it felt cohesive, it was well written, the acting was fantastic, and I was absolutely blown away by it. And, yeah, brilliance on screen, let's be honest. And there's a lot of bad TV, and we do live in an age of bad TV. which is very, very apparent, let's be honest. And to have something good, to have something this well done, that kept the humour, that felt like a cohesive extension of the game universe, and just, I'm gushing now, but I'm going to, because I was absolutely blown away. And I'm going to leave this here, because otherwise this is going to be super long, and I don't want to do a long episode on this, because it's just a review. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, do the usual, and memberships and Patreon and all of that. All the links are down below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.